7 Days in Paradise Part 1. Chapter 1, The Wrong Key. The first thing Claire Beaumont noticed about Maui was the way the air itself seemed to hum, soft, salt-sweet, threaded with plumeria and a whisper of grill smoke from somewhere down the beach. The second thing was the time. Her phone read 3:42 p.m., which meant her bride's hair trial should be starting in 18 minutes. Her florist's refrigerated van was somewhere between Kahului and a nervous breakdown, and she had exactly 0 minutes for island time. The resort rose from the shoreline like a secret, low-slung bungalows wrapped in teak and glass, gardens manicured to within a leaf of perfection, an infinity pool that appeared to pour quietly into the Pacific. A bellman with a discreet smile relieved her of 2 carry-ons and a garment bag, then offered a white orchid lei. Claire thanked him without really seeing him, her gaze already skimming the lobby for the concierge desk. She had a celebrity wedding to run, and celebrities, as she'd learned, required the 3 S's: silence, speed, and solutions. The lobby itself was a study in serene intimidation. Water trickled along a carved stone wall. A pianist at a corner baby grand teased out a mellow standard. The desk agents wore crisp linen uniforms, their name tags were brushed brass. Everyone spoke in the careful hush of a spa. And still, beneath the polished surfaces, the island pulse insisted, waves ticking the shore, palm fronds applauding a wind she couldn't feel indoors. "Welcome, Miss Beaumont," the concierge said as Claire approached. His name tag read Connie. His tie was the exact shade of deep ocean. "We've been expecting you." "Wonderful," Claire replied. "Bride's suite keys, vendor access codes, and if you could call Maui Petals to confirm their cooler placement in the staging room." Connie nodded like a man already halfway through her checklist. "Of course. We've assigned you to Bungalow 12 for the week, privacy, oceanfront, easy access to the main lawn for rehearsals. A golf cart will take you there. May I?" He slid a polished wooden box toward her and opened it. Inside, 2 matte black key cards lay on velvet like something more important than plastic. She signed where he indicated, accepted a cold towel she barely remembered to press to her face, and promised herself she'd breathe properly once she'd set down her laptop and reviewed the run of show for the 15th time. The bellman whisked her through gardens that seemed composed, not planted, helicania-like minimalist sculptures, hibiscus the size of saucers, a koi pond where small children hovered in reverent silence as if the fish were celebrities too. Bungalow 12 sat at the end of a sandy path, discreetly separated by hedges from its neighbors. The Pacific faced it head-on, a blue so assertive it felt like a dare. The bellman parked the cart, set her luggage on a teak bench, and offered a quick tilt of his head. "Anything else?" She smiled her thanks, already fishing a keycard from its sleek sleeve. The door clicked open with a green flash. Cool air met her, citrus, cedar, and that indefinable expensive smell. She stepped inside, eyes going automatically to the details she always noticed: placement of outlets near surfaces, the quality of light, the width of the closet doors. If a space cooperated, a wedding cooperated, that was her unromantic truth. The room was softly stunning. Pale wood floors, a ceiling fan turning with a lazy, elegant sweep, wide sliding doors framing the ocean like a living painting. On the bed, the duvet lay in a perfect, hotel-staffed cloud. On the bed, also, lay a man. Not just lying, lounging, really, propped against a pile of pillows as if this were his living room, not a place other people spent months saving to visit. Bare chest, tanned like he'd earned it, not bought it. Hair a little too long, sun-bleached in uneven streaks. a faint stubble that might have been calculated but probably wasn't. He held a small mahogany guitar, ukulele, Claire's brain corrected automatically, and his fingers moved over the strings with the casual fluency of someone comfortable with attention. He looked up mid-strum, unfazed. If anything, amused. Aloha, he said, a grin starting in one corner of his mouth as if it wasn't sure yet it wanted to be a smile. Housekeeping's getting very friendly these days. Claire went hot, then cold. I'm not housekeeping, she managed, fighting the urge to step back into the garden and close the door on the entire scenario. I'm a guest. This is bungalow 12. He set the ukulele aside. Ha! That's what I was told too. A small, mortifying pause while they looked at each other across 10 feet of artfully neutral carpeting. Claire straightened, summoned her professional voice, the one that could soothe the mother of the bride having second thoughts about the color ivory. There must be a mistake, she said. I'll just go back to the desk. He swung his legs off the bed with the ease of a cat uncurling. Swim trunks, of course. No shoes. A beaded leather bracelet on one wrist that would look ridiculous on anyone else. Or, he offered, we could call them from here. Save you the hike. Before she could answer, a squawk of laughter reached them from outside, the kind of laughter that meant a group had just discovered the resort's cocktail menu. Claire remembered the clock. Hair trial, florist cooler, rehearsal dinner linens. She had no time to be flustered by a stranger's tan, or his impossible nonchalance. Fine, she said, letting her tote slide off her shoulder onto a chair too beautiful to be practical. Use the phone. Please. He lifted the receiver, pressed 0 with the same care he'd used on the strings. Claire took the opportunity to look anywhere but at him. The coffee table, stone, low, held a bowl of fresh lilikoi. The welcome note was handwritten. There were 2 pale blue robes folded on a bench, precise as origami. Through the sliding doors, the ocean made its case, wave after persuasive wave. Hey, Connie, the man said into the handset, casual familiarity in his tone. It's maximum. I think we have a double-booked bungalow situation. Yeah. Yes, with a guest. His eyes flicked to Claire and, for the first time, focused. Not a once-over, more like he adjusted the lens. Claire, right? She blinked. How do you? Your luggage tag. He gestured at the garment bag. Claire Beaumont. Nice handwriting. Claire couldn't decide if that was invasive or observant. Both felt annoying. Right, he said into the phone. We'll wait. He hung up and looked apologetic in a way that somehow made him more annoying. He's on his way. Excellent. She adjusted the strap of her watch, wishing time would be obedient for once. I'm in a hurry. I figured. His gaze took in her pressed white shirt, the navy trousers that never wrinkled, the headset tucked in her tote. Event person. Wedding planner, she said, and felt the familiar armor settle. I have a bride arriving in 20 minutes and florals that need to be chilled yesterday. So you'll understand if I don't have bandwidth for small talk. Understood, he said, but his smile said he wasn't offended. It said he'd met people in a hurry before and never taken it personally. Footsteps sounded on the boardwalk outside, brisk but still somehow soft. Connie appeared in the open doorway with the grace of a magician, hands lightly clasped. I am so sorry for the inconvenience, he said, and Claire could tell he meant it. There's been a mix-up with the assignment of bungalow 12. He glanced between them. We appear to have assigned it to both of you. Appear? Claire echoed, the smallest thread of humor winding through her irritation. It's very present. Connie inclined his head. Miss Beaumont, Mr. Darcy. Max, the man corrected gently. Max, we can relocate one of you immediately, Connie continued, but I'm afraid the only available bungalow that meets your profiles will not be ready for an hour. Housekeeping is very friendly, Max said, deadpan. Connie's lip flickered, a micro smile that vanished almost at once. I can offer complimentary cocktails on the terrace while you wait. Or, if you prefer, you are welcome to share this space temporarily. The bedroom is partitioned by sliding doors, there is ample seating in the living area. Claire inhaled, counted to 3, exhaled. She could give up an hour and watch the day unravel strand by strand. Or she could be practical. She glanced at the desk against the wall, broad, with an ergonomic chair. The outlets were exactly where they should be. She pictured herself setting up her laptop, firing off confirmations, buying time with efficiency. She was good at making imperfect situations workable. It was, in fact, the secret spine of her business. I'll take the desk, she said. For 1 hour. Then I'll move to the other bungalow. Connie brightened in that subtle resort way. Of course. I'll have housekeeping expedite the turnover. May I bring iced tea? Or coffee, Claire said. Black. A smoothie, Max put in. Something green that looks questionable but tastes amazing. Very good. Connie retreated as gracefully as he'd arrived. Silence fell, populated by sea and ceiling fan. Claire opened her laptop, the comforting rectangle of responsibility. Her inbox bloomed with subject lines: hair and makeup ETA, florals truck, traffic update, NDAs for vendor team, press inquiry. She began typing, her fingers finding their familiar tempo. Max reclaimed his spot at the edge of the bed, but gently now, like a guest in someone else's space. He picked up the ukulele again but didn't play, just turned it in his hands, checking the tuning pegs as if that were a nervous habit. You're very calm about this, Claire said finally, not looking up from her screen. It's hard to get mad when the ocean is doing that, he said, nodding toward the water. Feels like yelling in a library. She made a non-committal sound. Some of us have deadlines. What's the timeline? He asked. Bride in 20, flowers on ice, something about linens. She paused, surprised he'd actually listened. Rehearsal at 6 on the main lawn. Sunset is at 5:52. Bride wants golden light without squinting. We need backup lanterns in case the wind kicks up. I've got a cellist who gets carsick and a mother of the bride who has opinions about roses. Roses are a strong opinion, he said. I'm Max, by the way. I gathered. She finally looked at him, meeting his eyes directly. They were a curious grey, surf on a cloudy morning. Max Darcy, he said, and almost winced, like the name came with baggage. The name did tug at something in her memory, a profile she'd skimmed on a plane, maybe, about a college dropout who turned custom boards into a global surf brand, then diversified into gear, resorts, a lifestyle people posted about with hashtags. She filed the recognition away. It didn't change anything about the hour they were sharing or the emails she needed to send. Nice instrument, she said, nodding at the ukulele. You play well. He laughed softly. You heard 3 chords and a daydream. But thank you. Connie returned with a tray as if conjured, a tall glass of iced coffee beading in the heat, a forest green smoothie in a curvy glass, and a small plate of macadamia shortbread. He arranged everything on the low table, confirmed the housekeeping estimate, and vanished again. Claire took a sip of her coffee. It was better than she expected, dark, silky, no bitterness. She kept working. Max leaned back and finally began to play, barely there chords that folded into the room rather than filling it. It should have irritated her. It didn't. If anything, it kept her from grinding her teeth. Minutes passed with the soft productivity of a good airport lounge. Claire sent 5 emails, redirected 2 deliveries, confirmed the string player's ginger candies, and rescheduled the bride's hair trial for the terrace to take advantage of the breeze. She was beginning to think the day might yet behave when a message arrived from an unknown number, running early. Surprise. Can't wait to see our paradise. B. She felt the tiniest flinch under her ribs and immediately told herself to compartmentalize. Later. Not now. Max stopped playing, sensing her shift before she hid it. Everything okay? It will be, she said, which was as much as she ever admitted to anyone not on her payroll. A soft knock sounded, housekeeping, somehow making the sound polite. Connie's voice followed, low and apologetic through the door. Miss Beaumont. The alternate bungalow is ready. Claire stood, gathered herself in one neat movement, and closed her laptop. The nearly shared hour dissolved into the afternoon glare, leaving behind the oddest sense of, not quite camaraderie. More like the knowledge you'd sat next to someone on a flight and exchanged just enough words to remember them later. Thank you for the desk, she said to Max, adjusting the strap of her tote. Anytime, he said. Then, after a beat, with a crooked grin, if you need a last-minute ocean, I know a guy. It was ridiculous. It still made her laugh, brief and unwilling. I'll keep that in mind. She stepped out into the brightness, where a bellman waited with her moved luggage and a golf cart purring like a polite tiger. The ocean exhaled, the palms tsked gently overhead. Claire slid into the passenger seat, already reaching for her phone to fire off the next instruction. Behind her, through the open doorway, she caught one last glimpse of Max, barefoot on the pale wood, turning the ukulele in his hands like a thought he wasn't quite done thinking. Then the cart eased forward, and Bungalow 12 slipped out of view, just another square of calm in a day she expected to be anything but. Chapter 2, The Mix-Up from Hell. The next morning, the resort looked like it had been washed clean. The storm from the night before had blown itself out over the ocean, leaving behind air that smelled faintly of lime and wet bamboo. The sun, still low, painted the water with the kind of gold that travel magazines promised and never quite delivered. Claire Beaumont was up before sunrise, as usual. She had 3 alarms on her phone, 5:00, 5:05, and 5:10, and she never needed the third. By the time the first sliver of light slid under her bungalow's curtains, she was already sitting at the small glass table, laptop open, phone charging, headset ready. She was calm on the surface, efficient in motion, but under that polish, a knot of tension hummed. Yesterday's mix-up still bothered her. It wasn't just the embarrassment of walking into a stranger's room, it was how easily that stranger had unsettled her rhythm. Max Darcy. She'd looked him up, of course. She always researched potential clients, and curiosity was part of her wiring. 2 minutes on her phone last night confirmed the half-formed memory. Billionaire, founder of Darcy Surf Company, face of every entrepreneur-turned-philanthropist magazine spread of the last decade. A man who smiled in linen shirts and gave off the unbothered confidence of someone who'd stopped counting his money years ago. The kind of man she normally avoided. Her new bungalow was smaller, neater, more her style, compact desk, symmetrical lighting, ocean view framed like an orderly photograph. She'd unpacked only the essentials: laptop, tablet, planner, 2 pressed outfits, 1 emergency steamer. Everything else stayed zipped. She wasn't here for leisure. She was here for a job. By 8 o'clock, she had already handled a mini-crisis with the florals, soothed a bridesmaid who'd lost her luggage, and confirmed that the ceremony platform would arrive by noon. She had just begun to feel steady when her phone buzzed with an unfamiliar extension. Miss Beaumont. It was Connie, the concierge, polite as ever but with a careful undertone. I'm afraid we need to discuss your accommodations. She blinked. My accommodations? Yes, m. It appears last night's reassignment was temporary. The other guest's reservation was not, how shall I say, resolved. She frowned, glancing around the pristine bungalow. What do you mean, not resolved? I'll be happy to explain in person. Could you please come to the front desk? She sighed, saved her files, and closed her laptop. Another day tour. The day had only just begun. The lobby was already busy, tourists in floral shirts comparing snorkeling schedules, honeymooners sipping pineapple juice through paper straws, resort staff moving in that unhurried rhythm that still somehow got everything done. Claire crossed the marble floor with her usual brisk stride, heels barely making a sound. Connie was waiting near the concierge stand, his calm expression upgraded to something resembling guilt. Beside him stood Max Darcy, casual perfection in a grey t-shirt and board shorts, flip-flops dangling from one hand. His skin had that faint shimmer of someone who'd already been surfing. When he saw her, his grin appeared instantly. Morning, roommate. Don't start, she said, setting her bag down with a controlled thump. Please tell me you fixed the mix-up. That's what we're here to discuss, Connie said, hands folding in front of him like a monk about to deliver bad news. We've had a high-profile arrival overnight, an entire delegation, in fact. Every remaining bungalow is now fully booked. Claire's eyes narrowed. You're saying there's nowhere else? Not until tomorrow afternoon. Tomorrow, she broke off, recalculated her schedule. I have the rehearsal dinner tonight, the walk-through this morning, and a bride who expects perfection. I can't bounce between rooms like a tourist. I completely understand, Connie said, though clearly he didn't. The best solution would be to continue sharing bungalow 12 with Mr. Darcy until alternate arrangements can be made. Absolutely not. Max leaned casually against the counter. Relax, it's a big bungalow. I don't bite. That's not the point, she said, sharper than she intended. I'm here for work. I need focus, quiet. And a Wi-Fi signal that doesn't cut out every 3 minutes, he finished. Trust me, I checked. 12's got the best one on the property. Connie interjected before she could respond. There is a privacy partition between the bedroom and the living area. 2 bathrooms, separate entrances to the deck. I assure you, you won't even know the other is there. Claire pinched the bridge of her nose. The logical part of her brain, the one that had survived red-eyed brides and last-minute monsoon forecasts, did the math. She had no time to argue, and no choice. Fine, she said finally. One night. Then you find me another room. Of course, Connie said, relief washing over him like a soft breeze. I'll send your luggage back to 12 immediately. Max flashed her a thumbs up. See? Problem solved. You, me, ocean view, separate bathrooms. What could go wrong? Don't test me, she muttered, grabbing her tote. By late afternoon, the resort hummed with wedding prep. Tables were dressed in ivory linens, crystal vases lined the lawn. Staff darted between palm trees carrying silver trays and portable speakers. Claire moved among them like a conductor, headset in place, clipboard in hand. Her voice was calm but firm. Table 3 needs to shift left. Watch the slope, yes, there. Perfect. Max appeared near the pool, barefoot, a towel slung over his shoulder. He was talking to the bar staff, gesturing toward bottles of sparkling water. She caught snatches of his tone, friendly, joking, and noticed how easily people gravitated toward him. Even the grumpy sous chef was smiling. She looked away quickly. Not her business. By the time sunset tinted the horizon in copper, the day's crises were managed. The bride was glowing, the caterers were happy, and the rehearsal dinner lights twinkled like fairy dust. Claire walked back to bungalow 12 with her tablet pressed to her chest, exhaustion and satisfaction tangled together. When she opened the door, she was greeted by soft music, guitar again, and the scent of grilled pineapple. Max was in the kitchen alcove, barefoot, flipping something in a pan. "Welcome home," he said lightly. "I figured you'd forget to eat." She stared. "You cooked?" "Cooking's a stretch," he admitted, plating 2 portions of seared fish and rice. "I bribed the kitchen for ingredients and did the rest." "Sit, before your blood sugar files a complaint." "I'm not hungry," she began, then her stomach growled like a traitor. She sat. The meal was simple but good, fresh, citrusy, the kind of food that tasted like sunlight. They ate mostly in silence, the sound of waves sneaking through the open doors. When they finished, he leaned back and said, "So, Claire, the wedding planner. You ever get to enjoy any of these weddings you plan?" She laughed softly, surprised. "Enjoy? No. I'm usually behind the curtain, fixing something." "That sounds exhausting." "It's predictable," she said. "Which is good." He studied her for a second, then nodded. "Predictable isn't always a bad thing. Keeps you from falling off your surfboard." She looked at him. "You surf for a living. You fall off for a living." He grinned. "Tush." A comfortable pause stretched between them, warm and strangely peaceful. Then, somewhere outside, thunder rumbled, distant, but steady. Claire frowned. "Forecast said clear skies," she murmured. "Island weather," Max said, glancing at the darkening horizon. "Changes faster than you think." Within minutes, rain began to fall again, not gentle this time but heavy and sudden. Palm trees bent in the wind, the surf roared. The resort's outdoor lights flickered. Claire stood and went to the sliding doors, watching the storm swallow the beach. "You've got to be kidding me," she said under her breath. Max joined her, hands on his hips. "Well, looks like we're stuck. Roads will flood if this keeps up." She turned to him, disbelief mixed with reluctant amusement. "You mean, again?" He raised an eyebrow. "What can I say? Maybe the island's trying to tell us something." She crossed her arms, refusing to smile. "Like what?" "That we should get used to each other," he said, picking up the ukulele from the counter. "Because something tells me, Claire, this mix-up from hell isn't ending tonight." Outside, lightning lit the sky, white against endless blue-black. Inside, the storm began to settle into rhythm, steady, insistent, the sound of 2 very different lives being forced to share the same roof a little longer than planned.
Thanks for listening to Billionaire Romance Stories, where love meets luxury in the most unexpected places. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like, subscribe, and drop a comment. We love hearing your favorite twists and favorite theories. And don't forget to ring that bell, because in this world of yachts, secrets, and luxurious romance, the next story is always one click away.